Well, hi, it's Christi Friesen, and guess what? We're going to have a hoot today because we're going to make owls. Yeah, I'm sorry to start your day off with a pun, but it was needed, and we are going to make these cute little owls. Aren't they adorable? They're very easy. They're made out of polymer clay, and if you've never done polymer clay before, this is an ideal project to start because it is very simple. It's really neat, and all your friends will want one, which will make you feel great, which is what we want when we're starting a new craft, for people to say that looks great, because then you're excited and want to keep doing it. So this is perfect for that. If you've done clay before, this is easy. All your friends will tell you you're great, which is terrific, even if you're a pro at polymer. If you have not done polymer, you're fairly new to the medium, we do have another video here at firemountaingems.com on the basics of polymer clay. We'll tell you all you need to know to be a master at the medium, so make sure you take a look at that, and then come on back and make an owl with me. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is use Primo clay. That just happens to be my favorite. There are a number of brands of clay. They're all fabulous. You can use whichever one you like. This is the one I'm going to use. And I was feeling in a kind of bluey owl mood today, although you can use natural owl colors, or you can go crazy Kool-Aid owls if you want, like I did. So normally when you've got your clay, all you have to do is break off a few chunks of it, and with your hands you can just mix that back and forth until they're blended together. You can use the clay right out of the package if you like that color, but usually getting a little marbleizing in there by mixing the colors together is kind of exciting and fun. And you can see how easily it just mushes with your hands. If you want to use a roller or a pasta machine, again, those are in the basics video, that makes this go much faster, but there's no reason why you can't just grab it in your hands and play with it and then see how much you love that. So what I did is I've mixed some colors already, and I have pre-made a nice little ball about the size of hard-boiled egg yolk, ping pong ball, somewhere in between. And as you can tell, I still have a little bit of color marbleized in there that just will give my owl a little extra punch. This is about how much you need to make the whole thing, but make sure you have a little bit left over because he has wings, or she, and you'll need a secondary color for underneath the eyes. We'll get to that in a minute, but you can tell I've got some aside there. All right, got my ball, rolling it up. I'm going to make sort of a teardroppy type shape by putting my hands together in sort of this wedgy position. So like if you had a slab of cheesecake, it would just fit right in there perfectly. So that's the kind of wedgie you want. And you're just going to push that with your hands, push that clay until you get this nice little teardroppy shape. And you don't want it to be too pointy, because then your owl will have a way pointy tail. So if it gets out of control, just smash it with your hands. And so see, look, the perfect owl beginning shape. All right, now we're going to pull the little horns out. Not every owl has those little horns, but they're very satisfying to make. So what I'm going to do is with my fingers, I'm just going to pinch and pull, almost like you're making a little ice cream cone on the top of his head. You want to not go, because then you just have this weird flat Batman thing going on, and unless you want that in your owl, I would not suggest. So I'm just kind of grabbing and pinching. So you see how I'm just kind of pulling on that and moving this owl and my fingers all around so that you've got this nice little boink, which is the technical term. And then do it on the other side, because, you know, he's got two of them. And so now you have got the potential owls happening. You can see that there. He's got his tail. This is going to be the body. Let's go ahead and give him eye smoshes. I've got my two thumbs, and I'm pushing down. Now, if you have lovely nails, that's going to be awkward. You can get a ball-tipped tool or anything with a nice big rounded end to make that push. But what you want is indentations in the eye where those eye sockets are going to be. It's a very owl thing. All right, and one more thing before I put the eyes in, I'm going to refine the body from the tail. There's a number of tools you can use. I just happen to have a favorite here, but anything where you can kind of get in here, like there's one tool, you could even use something like this, and just kind of get in there and make a little rounded belly, and then his tail is here. And now I'm just using my fingers to get rid of the tool marks. When you're using a tool on something, it usually leaves kind of a shininess to it. So if you can use your fingers and smooth that away, it'll look nicer. All right, so again, see what we have? So far so good, right? You can see the owl waiting to come out. Now I have pre-made two little balls of a contrasting color of clay, and I'm adjusting this one because one was bigger than the other, which makes a kind of crazy lopsided owl, which is also kind of fun sometimes. And I'm just going to push it with my fingers. What I have found is that if you have the clay and you're rolling it in your fingers, it's warming up. So then when you smush it, it just flattens and it doesn't crackle and look ridiculous. So you want to make it warm with your hands first. And then I'm just putting the little pancakes right on his face. So now he's got pancake face. So he looks a little bit like an alien. That's good. Now you're going to put your eyes in there. There's a number of things you can use for eyes. Glass eye or a glass bead or a glass crystal. And I've got a couple here that are just some nice flat back crystals with a good glue backing. I'm going to pick them up with this happy little tool and I'm going to place them right where they belong. And that's right in the center there. Now you don't want to just leave them floating there. Even though there's a glue backing, you want to press them down into the clay a bit. That way they won't slide off in the oven when the glue gets hot. They're indented in there. All right, so now another thing we can do is for the feather area, you can use a tool and you can just press in little feathers. That's what this guy has. He's got little pressings all around there. Or you can use crystals again. Since I'm already in a blingy mood, let's just use some crystals here and put crystals right on his chestular area. So there's one. And I'm going to press it in with my finger. I find that to be a very good pressing tool. And another one in the center. Boom! And more. And obviously you can go as bling crazy as you wish and put as many little crystals as you want. Most owls prefer more crystals to less crystals. All right, so you just keep going. And then he's going to be ready for his other features, his beak, his wings, other little details. All right, looking good so far. All right, well, let's give him some beak, some wings, some tail feather business. Beak first. A little bit of an orange colored clay. I just mixed up some orange so that it wasn't quite as pumpkin-y. Put a little gold in it. And I'm going to just pinch this into a kind of carrot-y shape. So you can see what I've got going on here. Just a nice little carrot. And I'm going to take a cutting blade and I'm going to slice off the appropriate beak length. The reason I do that is if you just try to make the teardrop and then smush it on, as the teardrop presses into the clay, that rounded edge is there, and so it always looks like the nose just got added by the nose fairy, and that's not as good of a look. But if you cut it, that's a nice flat surface. It can just get smacked right in the proper place. So I'm just going to press that there. And as I've pressed it, I've pinched it a little bit, which gives it sort of that ridge to the beak. You can do that if you want. Doesn't that look good? Now that looks like that owl can just chat to his friends. All right, so fine little details here. Why don't we add a couple of lines for the tail? And you can get fancy here if you want. I'm just kind of pressing a tool in there to make some little indentations that connote feathers. If you wish, you can do the same thing up in the ear area. A couple of little strokes there will give it feathery look. You can put other lines like around his eyes if he wants to have eyelashes, or she, depending on how you feel about that, and whatever else you want. Now the only thing left after that is the wings. They're super easy. Little round ball, teardrop, that's our word for the day. Everything is a teardrop. And flatten. So I've got a nice little flunk and another teardrop and flatten. And then these just get pressed into the side of your owl in the shoulder area, which owls of course have shoulders. So I'm going to press that in and push it down. Now you can make those little teardrops flat against his body if he's huddling for warmth in the cold. They can be tipped up slightly if he's excited because he's going to get a mouse ice cream cone, which he loves, or whatever makes you happy. All the way in the air if you just don't care, whatever you like. So there you go, you've got your guy. Now all that has to be done now so that you can play with him is to bake him. However, if you want to wear this or hang it on the wall or something, you can't just like stick it there and hope that it's going to last, or stick it on your chest with Velcro, although that could be interesting. So I'm going to take a needle tool and I'm going to very quickly and easily and with anesthetic pierce him right through the temples. Generally speaking, owls don't really mind this. They have a natural immunity for getting sliced right through the head, and this guy, see, no problem. He's not upset or anything. But what I've done is just put that needle tool slowly through there, and that leaves a hole that maybe then you can put stringing through. If you want to use a ribbon or something, then you would use the needle tool first and then a gradually larger and larger skewer or whatever to make that hole a little larger. Now he's ready to hang. If, however, you wanted him to be a little sculptural buddy like this guy where he can stand up, the only thing different to that is you would tip that tail back so that he can stand up on the table, and you're going to give him some little teeny feetsies. And I won't do all of them here because I think you get the idea of making a little teeny feetsy, and you just stick it underneath here so that he's going to be able to be standing up on his little foots. So let's put his bum back so he can be a thing to wear again, and I will put his little feathers back where they belong. There you go, variation 1 and 2. All right, so now you've got a fun little owl. What are you going to do with it now? You're going to bake it. Baking polymer clay makes it hard and stable, lightweight, ready to use, all that good stuff. There is a tips and technique basics video for polymer clay, as I mentioned before, so you can find all about baking there. Now, One more trick, because I really want you to be excited about this. Just because you've made an owl that looks like that does not mean that at some point you won't be going, you know what? What if my owl was rusty? How would that look? What if it was made out of silver? What if it was bronze and it was in a museum? Well, we have Swelligant, which is this, and this is what you do with it. It is a metal coating that you can then use to cover over any kind of thing like this owl and turn it into a metalicious project. So I have other videos on that. And just as a fun little bonus, there will be a complete separate video on taking this owl and some of his friends and walking you through the specifics of coating it with a metal coating and making it look fabulous. So look for that also here on firemountaingems.com. Okay, so one more thing I just wanted to mention to you. This is the Birds book. If you had fun doing this owl, you may want to look at this book and find other bird projects as well. Okay, so thank you so much for being here and creating with me. I had a hoot. Did you have a hoot? You may feel free to use that pun anytime you want, but watch out, eye rolling will occur. So go have fun in your little studio nooks, create some owls, and have some fun sharing them with everybody else. And when you're ready for other creative projects, all kinds of supplies from polymer clay to Swelligant to tools to crystals, you know where to come, firemountaingems.com. For all your creative needs, we're here for you. Thanks.